Today is March 2, 2026, and the world as we know it has fundamentally changed. If you are watching the news right now, you are witnessing history, terrifying, world-altering history. Over the last 72 hours, the United States and Israel launched Operation Epic Fury, a massive, coordinated preemptive strike deep into Iranian territory. The unthinkable has happened. Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has been killed in these strikes. In response, Iran's Revolutionary Guard has unleashed a storm of ballistic missiles and drones not just at Israel, but across the entire Middle East. Right now, at least 12 nations have been dragged into the crossfire. Global markets are in freefall. Brent crude oil has skyrocketed as the Strait of Hormuz becomes a war zone. How did we get here? How did a covert shadow war, fought with spies and computer viruses, suddenly explode into a multi-nation theater of war? Today, we are going deep. We are going to trace the entire timeline of the Iran-Israel conflict. We'll look at the famous figures who lost their lives, the failure of the United Nations, how global powers, including India, are reacting, and what this means for the future of the world. Settle in, because the story of how the Middle East caught fire is one you need to understand. To understand the explosions over Tehran today, you have to go back to a time when Iran and Israel were actually friends. In 1948, Iran was the second Muslim-majority country to recognize the State of Israel. Under the Shah of Iran, the two nations shared a quiet, lucrative alliance trading Israeli agricultural tech for Iranian oil. But in 1979, the earth shifted. The Islamic Revolution brought Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini to power. Overnight, Israel became the Little Satan, an entity the new Iranian regime vowed to destroy. For the next 4 decades, they fought a shadow war. Direct military confrontation was considered too dangerous. Instead, they fought in the dark. The proxy network. Iran built the axis of resistance, funding and arming Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas in Gaza, and the Houthis in Yemen. They effectively built a ring of fire around Israel. The covert strikes. Israel's Mossad retaliated with terrifying precision. They assassinated top Iranian nuclear scientists. They unleashed the Stuxnet computer virus, which physically tore apart Iran's nuclear centrifuges. The nuclear standoff. In 2015, the world tried to step in with the Iran nuclear deal, JCPOA. Israel despised it, believing it merely delayed an Iranian nuclear bomb. When the U.S. withdrew from the deal in 2018, the countdown clock started ticking. Iran began enriching uranium to near-weapons-grade levels. The tension was a tightly coiled spring, and on October 7, 2023, that spring snapped. October 7, 2023, triggered the brutal Gaza war. But while the world watched Gaza, the real geopolitical earthquake was happening between Israel and Iran. In 2024, the unwritten rules of the shadow war were thrown out the window. Let's look at the timeline. April 1, 2024. Israel bombed an Iranian consulate complex in Damascus, Syria, killing senior Iranian military commanders, including Mohammad Reza Zahedi. April 13-14, 2024. Iran crossed a historic red line. For the first time ever, they launched a direct attack on Israeli soil, firing over 300 drones and missiles. Israel, backed by a U.S.-led coalition, intercepted 99% of them, but the psychological barrier was gone. July 31, 2024. In a stunning intelligence coup, Israel assassinated Hamas political leader Ismail Haniyeh, not in Gaza, but inside a highly secure guest house in Tehran. September 2024. Israel decimated Hezbollah's leadership in Lebanon, killing its legendary chief, Hassan Nasrallah. October 2024. Iran retaliated with a massive barrage of nearly 180 ballistic missiles aimed at Israeli military bases. Israel responded weeks later with Operation Days of Repentance, systematically degrading Iranian air defenses. High-profile personalities were being wiped off the board. The proxy shields were falling. Iran and Israel were now standing face to face. Enter 2025. With Hezbollah and Hamas severely weakened, Iran was exposed. Simultaneously, the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, reported that Iran had amassed enough highly enriched uranium for multiple nuclear weapons. Israel's Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, declared time had run out. In June 2025, Israel and Iran engaged in a brutal 12-day air war. Israel launched sweeping strikes against Iran's Natanz and Fordo nuclear facilities. Iran fired over 100 ballistic missiles into Israel in return. It was a terrifying preview of a wider war, but after 12 days, a fragile U.S.-brokered ceasefire paused the bloodshed. However, it wasn't peace. It was just a pause to reload. By early 2026, U.S. intelligence claimed Iran was rapidly rebuilding its missile silos and rushing toward a nuclear breakout, secretly defying the ceasefire. Which brings us to right now, March 2, 2026. On February 28, the United States, under President Donald Trump, and Israel launched Operation Epic Fury. This wasn't just about delaying a nuclear program anymore. This was about decapitating the Iranian regime. The strikes hit central Tehran. And then, the headline that shook the globe broke. 86-year-old Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was killed in the bombardment. Iran immediately appointed senior cleric Ayatollah Arafi as the interim leader, while President Masoud Pezeshkian declared this, an open declaration of war against Muslims everywhere. The retaliation has been apocalyptic. The geography of this war has exploded. Let's look at the sheer number of countries currently involved or attacked in just the last 48 hours. 1. Israel and Iran, the primary combatants, trading heavy ballistic missile fire. Over 555 people have reportedly been killed in Iran so far, and casualties are rising in Israel. 2. United States, leading the strikes alongside Israel. 3. Lebanon. Hezbollah has resumed firing rockets into Israel, and Israel has launched heavy airstrikes on Beirut. 4. Kuwait. The U.S. Embassy compound in Kuwait City was struck. Furthermore, Kuwait mistakenly shot down 3 American F-15E fighter jets in the chaos of the airspace. 5. Qatar. Iranian drones targeted a power plant and an energy facility in Mesjid and Ras Laffan. 6. Bahrain. A U.S. tanker was hit off the coast, threatening the Strait of Hormuz. 7. Cyprus. 2 Iranian drones headed for a British military base in Cyprus were intercepted. 8. The UK, drawn in via the attack on their Cyprus base. 9. Syria and Iraq, serving as airspace corridors and hosting Tehran-backed militias who are actively joining the fight. At least 4 American troops have been killed in action. Oil tankers are dropping anchor, refusing to cross the Gulf. The world economy is bracing for a catastrophic shock. Where is the international community in all of this? The United Nations is paralyzed. Emergency Security Council meetings have resulted in nothing but shouting matches. The UN and the IAEA have lost all access and leverage in the region. Meanwhile, major global players are walking a diplomatic tightrope, and perhaps no country is in a tougher spot than India. India has massive strategic interests on both sides. They rely heavily on the Middle East for energy security, and they have deep, historic ties with Iran, including the Chabahar port. At the same time, India has a robust strategic defense and technology partnership with Israel. Today, India's Ministry of External Affairs issued a critical statement calling for maximum restraint. New Delhi stated it is deeply concerned and emphasized that dialogue and diplomacy must replace violence. India's External Affairs Minister, S. Jaishankar, immediately got on the phone with both sides, holding separate, urgent calls with Iranian Foreign Minister Said Abbas Araghchi and Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Saar. India is frantically trying to protect its diaspora. Millions of Indian nationals live and work in the Gulf, and safeguard its economy, as the surging price of Brent crude threatens to trigger massive inflation. In fact, due to the war, The CBSE and Kerala state boards just postponed school exams across all their Middle East centers to protect students. We are standing on the edge of a blade. The unwritten rules that governed the Middle East for half a century are gone. The axis of resistance has been battered, the supreme leader of Iran is dead, and the United States and Israel are engaged in open warfare across a dozen borders. Will the Iranian regime collapse from within, as some analysts hope? Or will this spark a grinding, multi-year regional war that drags in other global superpowers? There are no easy answers. The only certainty is that the world will never be the same after March 2, 2026. Thank you for watching this deep dive. This is a highly volatile, rapidly developing situation. Please subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and leave your thoughts in the comments below on how you think this global crisis will end. Stay safe, and I will see you in the next update.